This episode is brought to you by Mortgage Workflow Partners and the Mastering Encompass series, both for users as well as administrators. You can find out all the information about it over at masteringencompass.com. Also, if you'd like to check out what we're doing on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel using the @MasteringEncompass handle. And make sure you stay up to date on all the information, not just with podcasts, but also video content that we bring to you as often as possible. Now let's get on to the episode.
Hey everyone, Larry Bailey here, Mortgage Workflow Partners. It is 4 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, July 18th. Welcome. Thanks everybody for coming. As always, the obligatory reminder that we meet every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, every Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern, just for 30 minutes. So it's a quick hit in and out. You're bringing questions. I'm helping with answers. Maybe the community comes together with an answer. We'll see how that goes. Of course, you can use the chat to communicate. If you feel like you want to come on stage and act out what you got to deal with, whether it's a screen share or just it's easier to talk it through because it's just like that, throw a message in the chat. We'll bring you up on stage. We can have a total of 8 other people. We can act like a big Brady Bunch if you want, and go from there. I am not in my normal location, hence the big cabinets behind me with that little dude right there. That is a collectible. I know you can't have it. So I'm in Oahu. If you guys want me to do anything for you while at Oahu, we're supposed to be getting some kind of hurricane or something this week. I don't know. But we were out snorkeling yesterday near Three Tables in Sharks Cove, if you know where that is in Oahu. Got to see a huge moray eel that was about like that big, some turtles and some fish, and it was a gorgeous time. So anyway, that's what I have going on for me. Before we get into the topic of task-based workflows, if you have a question or if you have something you want to talk about, throw it up in the chat, and we'll get to it. So hopefully, before I get too deep here, hopefully everybody caught the update. ICE rolled back, which is fairly rare these days, but ICE did roll back an ECS update. I did post it in the community earlier today. In the important update section, so hopefully you caught that, and here we go. So I guess we don't have any questions. Again, for those that are just joining, thank you very much. My name is Larry Bailey, and we're here Tuesdays and Thursdays. If you have a question, if you want to come up on stage, virtual stage, ask your question out loud. Let me know in chat. Otherwise, we'll just kind of continue on here and talk all about task-based workflows. So let me share my screen. And I did challenge everyone to in the little chat, like, you know, if you don't think task-based workflows are your thing, I challenge that wholeheartedly because every part of every business is task-based. Whether or not you objectify the tasks, meaning you call them out, you make people physically do something. Last week, this kind of ties into the last week's conversation about checklists. A checklist is okay, but really it's traditionally more like a task. So in Encompass, really since the beginning, we've had these things in Encompass called tasks, and they're okay, but you don't really know if the user did the work. A, B, you don't really give them any context as far as where to do the tasks. So there's training involved with tasks. So a lot of people kind of fall back to a checklist because a checklist is kind of training on the go. It also kind of can identify what's going on. Also, if the task is tied to a field or a document, you can bring in metadata from the field or the document to the checklist kind of a thing. But really what it's really focusing in on is, did the work get done? And if you've not really spent much time looking at Encompass on the web, I totally get it, right? It's still kind of one of those things like we'll see if it's really going to be what they say it's going to be. But I'm a couple of things that I'm heavily focusing with Encompass on the web is task-based workflows and hybrid e-close. Part of that also gets into enhanced conditions. I've got a little bit of spur in my saddle when it comes to enhanced conditions because of the print form that I've talked about. So hopefully that gets addressed. But in the event, if you go into tools right now, you do have workflow tasks, right? So this is the desktop version of task-based workflows, that's okay. It's not the full experience. So it only gives you a little bit of the taste, and the taste it's giving you is that you get this part of the UI. Now I am starting something new. It's basically 5 minutes in. I'm basically posting the video. So if you're watching this video and we're at the 5-minute mark, which is where we're at now, get over to the community to see the entire video from here. Guarantee you'll want to see it. That's a tease. For everybody else, here we go. So the problem with the workflow task tool is that it only gives you the task. So you're kind of like, well, what's the difference? What's going on here? Now, status code tells me that there's something missing within this task. If we go into the details, you'll see that I can't finish the subtask because the original task is still in process. So it does give a little bit of UI, gives you a description, but again, it gives you the ability to really speak to the status. You're like, what's the big deal? The big deal is not here. That's the big deal. The big deal is Encompass on the web. So if you go in the settings, how we get there traditionally is you can go to web version settings and get there. What I prefer to do to give you the full experience is I prefer to go over to LO Connect. So let's get this over here. Encompass LO Connect. There we go. So encompassloconnect.com. What's going to happen next is you put your CID in, you put your user ID in, and you put your password in. That's not going to be my password, so hang on, gang. That is entirely too long. I am not that secure. So let's go ahead and replace that with something that's going to work. Now, this is one of those things where people don't like Ping ID. I've never had a problem with Ping ID. So it comes on, it tells me on my phone, I slide it up, it authenticates, I leave it running in the background, and now you're in as the loan officer or as the processor. So it's 2FA for it. Now, this screen right here is the same as what you would have seen had you gone straight through Encompass, and that's totally fine. But what you can't do when you go through Encompass is get this waffle, and the waffle is what I want you to see, because the waffle is what brings you into the loan file, and it's what gives you the full experience. So for those that are just joining, thank you very much for coming. Appreciate it. Again, every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Eastern, Thursday at 1 p.m. Eastern. Today's topic is walking through task-based workflows. This is an open Q&A, so you can use the chat function within the community. Please do. If you have any questions or call-outs, or you want to come on and talk through something, just throw it in the chat. We'll bring you up on stage. We're going to have a total of 8 people up here. Look like a big Brady Bunch, so you can kind of go from there. So the idea is if you go into workflow, which is right here, and you have workspaces and you have tasks, you want to first go to workspaces because the workspace in the Encompass on the web defines where the work's being done. In this particular workspace, I created one for loan processor, and I want to edit that. And so within the workspace for loan processor, and again, I'm just using general terms here, you can use your own. You can create these content layouts in the Encompass on the web experience so that you can bring in custom forms, documents, standard forms, or even custom tools within the workspace, and you can define if it's a single pane or a side-by-side pane layout with whatever information you want from the content that you're managing. And the reason why this is important is because when you get into tasks and you create these tasks in here, like I did for appraisal, I wanted to create that within the workspace so that there was an experience for the processor. This one happened to be for appraisal review. So I'll kind of show you what this looks like. Now listen, this is new, right? So if it's not working for you exactly, grab something that is going to like mellow you out and just work through it. It is not hard, it's just different. And so like everything in Encompass, there's always multiple dots connecting everything together, and learning those dots and learning your workflow and learning what the company, what your team is actually doing versus what they say they're supposed to do could be like miles apart. So all of this is to be taken with a very strategic plan. It's one of the things that we do with Mortgage Workflow Partners is actually help clients move into better workflows that optimize their team and optimize their experience. And so what ends up happening here with this example is if we come over into Pipeline and we go, again, the loan that we were in a minute ago in desktop was Q-Test, right? So when we saw what that looked like, if you didn't see it, I can go back if anybody has any questions what that looked like. But if we go into that Q-Test loan file, so this is Encompass on the web, and again, we're in the same file that we were a moment ago on desktop. And it's going to load into forms because that's where that's the way it works. But if we come over into tools and we go to workflow tasks, we'll see that I've got this appraisal task that's open in progress. Also, for those if you're if you're one for looking at tasks, you can actually organize it by just open tasks from the pipeline view, so to speak. In any event, when you go into the task, you'll see that dual pane side by side is listed here. So I wanted to grab the subject property fields, and obviously this is not an appraisal, but this is the appraisal document that your team member can be reviewing while they're filling in the information that you want them to fill in here. And so once they get done with this information, they can go in and then they can complete that task by looking here. So when we talk about the UI experience and what's going on with the task-based workflow, imagine that you've got all of your tasks here listed out in the for the user, and so they can come into, they don't have to go into their loan, they can just go right to tasks. And so let's go back, I'm going to go back into that loan and basically go back into the task and unfinish that so we can see what that looks like. So pipeline, tasks, it's not assigned to me, so it might not show up. But effectively, as your team goes through task-based workflows, they'll see their tasks that are assigned, and they'll go in, I could just hit that, and they'll go in and identify it. So they can work through their tasks. They don't have to go searching for a loan, looking for a loan with an open task or something else in that regard, which is entirely different from desktop, right? Desktop, if you had like 5 tasks that were open on a file, maybe there's an alert for it, maybe there's not. Maybe you have them set up as a pipeline view for all the open tasks. All that is what we've had to do as effectively workarounds. And in task-based workflow, basically, you create the task. It'll list here for where it is. They can pop in the file and go from there. So that's the quick hit. Does anyone have any questions about your particular business or how it could work or concepts? Do you want to come up and talk through it? Do you want to just chat? I could spend more time on this and get into some more details if you like. Or we can talk about anything else. Again, this is open time, right? So this is for everybody, no matter what it is. I just put together an agreed to topic. So how do you get back to the loan from here? I mean, so the idea is, Angela, once you finish a task, there's nothing else to do. So again, task-based workflows, I find are like disclosure desks, appraisal desks, QC, VO verification teams, things that have to get done. And once they're done, it's gone. There's nothing else to look at. So this paradigm shift of filtering out, right? Well, this is what we all do, right? We create pipeline views or we create dashboards to look for loans that fit the filter that we're looking for. And then once we do that thing, it goes off the filter. Take that same methodology and punch it over into a task-based workflow so that your team is like, all right, well, no results found. Dude, I'm done. Like, it's all I don't have anything else to do. I'll, take over the next project or whatever it is I'm doing. Does that help, Angela, in terms of how I put that? Does anybody else have any questions about that? Because that is one of the biggest challenges to getting into a task-based workflow is managing that change. So Angela asks, could the task-based workflow replace the checklist? Probably. Again, if a checklist is a bunch of tasks that have to be completed, especially if they're to be completed by a single person, again, if you want them to double check information, they could do that. Could this replace the UI that we all are used to within a single loan file, where you could go check, 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 check? Is that really what the intention of that was for? Of just clicking check, check, check? Probably not. Probably what you really wanted them to do was to be able to go through and let me go over and put input form set template, and we'll do the checklist example. So, right, in this checklist example we used on Thursday's call, the idea is, did this signed and dated? Well, it'd be great if I could see that input, that e-folder document right here. So what many companies will do is they'll put like a button if they've got some third-party tech or if they've got some internal developers to pop open the credit file underwrite authorization form to make sure it's signed and dated. Well, but you can do that here without any third-party tech. Like, it's right there. You can do it today. So that's the idea, Angela, is could it replace it? Maybe. Could it supplement a better experience? 100%. Warren asks, can a task be designated as a prerequisite for another task? Yeah. Yeah. So you could daisy chain these together. So back in admin here, Warren, when you get into workflow tasks, that's what I did with this example here. So this is all subtask. The appraisal one is a subtask. I'm sorry. So you can create these dependencies for within task groups, so that if you wanted to create another task to be dependent upon that being completed, that's the intention. I don't know how far it goes, quite honestly. I don't know if it only goes one level or two. But yes, that's the concept of making sure that in task-based workflows, that if the task of approving the appraisal is subject to another team completing their tasks first, yes. Or making sure these items are done before you finish the task of approving the appraisal. But this is where it gets funny for me, because approving the appraisal is a date-based field or a checkbox-based field. It's not really a task, although it is a responsibility. So kind of a circular argument there, if I get your question, but that's the idea. So what I would encourage you to do is, first of all, get into your web-based settings. Again, for those that didn't see me do it the first time, in your settings overview, there's a direct link into exclusively just the settings. So if I hit that, it'll pop open, this non-browser browser window, and you kind of get into here, but notice the waffle's not there. So the better way for me, because I like to test what I see, is go to Encompass LR Connect. If you haven't yet set up your ping ID, It's not a big deal. Put it on your mobile device. It's authenticated to you, and then it'll activate it. You slide a little slider up, and that's done. So you can create new task groups. You can create new tasks. You can import them, as well as if you go in, you can actually export them too. Keep in mind that you can only import and export workflow tasks within workflow tasks. It's an object specific to Encompass on the web. Angela asks, can the task in the workflow be matched with a milestone? Do you mean, can you make sure that a milestone is not able to be finished until a task is finished? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. The answer is yes. So if we go back over into your standard milestone business rules, and we go and add a milestone completion, right? So if we come over in here and you click add, you'll see up in here for your normal stuff, you'll see workflow tasks. So if you haven't been here in a while, gang, welcome back to the updates. So yeah, this is a new tab. And if you've never been, or you haven't been into milestone completion rules lately, and you certainly haven't been in required tasks, because why would you? You now have workflow tasks up here. So again, same thing for milestones. Now, what's different is if you make this a milestone requirement of where the user is being told to go. Because if I make this a requirement, I thought I did this already for a different rule because I was showing this to somebody. Hang on with me, gang. Maybe not. Could have been a different environment. Anyway, you know how you can do a check here, right? You can't do that with workflow tasks. So what's going to happen is it'll be a gray box here, and it's going to tell you to open up workflow tasks tool to complete it there. So again, it's one of those things where the methodology is exciting to me, and it's one that I love as an Encompass administrator because I'm all about the workflow. And I just don't want somebody checking the box because I don't know if they did what they did. What I want them to do is to do the work of the task, which is why I've always advocated if a task is field-based or document-based, please don't make a task. Make a milestone completion rule for a document to have an attachment or a field to be completed. But if the field you want completed is to be validated against the actual image on the file, well, now you're kind of stuck. And that's what, again, workflow tasks within Encompass on the web is really awesome for, because natively you can now present not only the input fields that you want the user to complete, but also the file image that you want them to review. So Angela states, I'd be interested in who's using this on the panel and how it's working. I guarantee it, nobody's using this. Like, prove me wrong. Anybody on the call or anybody watching this replay, if you're using workflow tasks in your real workflow, please shout it out, because you know me, I'm usually ahead of the curve and I'm always pushing for stuff that I think is impactful. Because this is something I wish if I had a mortgage company, I know I would be using it, at least from my appraisal team and at least from my disclosure team. And if I had, internal QC, it would 1000% be from my QC team, 1000%. So post-closing too, you can, again, for those that are doing post-closing, think about post-closing when you want to bring back in the note and you want to put, or the recorded mortgage, you want to put the deed book or page of the recordation of the date it's recorded in there. Could you have them open the e-folder and just put it in the field? Yeah, absolutely. But depending on your velocity and the size of your company, if I had a post-closing team and I had them going into their pipeline and their job was just to look at their task list here, how awesome is that? Especially for like overdue things, for callbacks. Again, these are things that I always think about in workflow. Anytime you've got somebody who needs to get work done in a file, I want you to start thinking about more like your business day. Think about like your CRM or even your own personal calendar. Like, hey, I want to follow up on this thing. Let me create a task to follow up. Nobody does it in Encompass. Nobody, because the UI does not it does not really give you an efficient way to view outstanding tasks. This guy does. And that's what I wanted. That's why I wanted to use this time to promote it. So, questions, counter arguments, thoughts, ideas? Are these events helpful for you? Does everybody like what I'm doing with the topics? I've got the topics laid out for the next few weeks. If you missed that post, it's somewhere in the community. I truthfully forget what next week or what Thursday is. It's something, I'm sure it's posted somewhere. But the way that I'm formatting this, does it feel good? Angela says, now you've seen I'm interested. Yeah, Angela, that's the whole point. All right, so cool. Yeah. Listen, I know you've got a lot of places to go get information. I know because I've created many of them. So I want you to feel empowered to get information wherever you want to get it from and interact with whoever you need to interact with. I do this for two reasons. Number one, for myself, to make sure I stay sharp. And secondly, to make sure that you've got more information that I know is not being delivered anywhere else. So no reporting database support. So Cliff, tell me more about that. Do you want to come on and talk that through? What do you say? No, you mean for like the task status? Like, what do you mean? Tell me more about that. Are you talking about, I'm imagining you're typing right now, you're talking about when you go in the RDB and the task, there's no field associated with it, right? Yes, so none of the fields backing are accessible. Well, so I wonder why, Cliff, huh? What do you think might be out there that's accessible? Possibly a webhook? I mean, you see where this is going, right? RDB is eventually going to be gone away because you've got data connect or you've got external. I'm not a developer, so I don't, I'm talking out of my ass here when it comes to webhooks. But the idea is, yeah, and certainly something to complain about, right? So if you like this, but you have to have RDB, guys, create a case with ICE and escalate it, and have them commit to why this isn't available in the RDB. I don't know. Katie says, I like this because it reviews some things I haven't looked at in a while. Great refresher. Oh, awesome, Katie. Yeah. Oh, and Cliff says, yeah, there is great support. Okay, cool. See, I don't live there. Cliff does. But there is great support through the APIs to get that data, which is something I 100% expect, because ICE prior Ellie Mae has been really pushing for wanting to stop supporting a reporting database. They first came out with external reporting database, so you can kick the crap out of the ERDB. And then when they first started coming out with webhooks, to set those things up is not an easy task. Look for an announcement August. Put it on your calendars, please. Save the date, August 2nd. Big announcement, big promotion thing with visualizing data. Something that I'm collaborating with another partner. More information to be announced shortly. I just want to get the marketing approved on it. But really, really big deal. Honestly, sincerely big deal when it comes to business intelligence visualizations that's affordable for everyone. And it's specifically, it accesses the API data. So Cliff, to your point from this meeting, I'm going to go back to the developers and get them to throw a tile in for open tasks to make sure that not only are they seeing the elements in the standard task objects, but also seeing the workflow task objects. So great takeaway. Thank you, Cliff, for that. Inspired me, Cliff. Yeah, right? Because we want to make sure we have all tasks accounted for in that visualizer. Oh, I got goosebumps. Good stuff. Great idea. So, hey, listen, we're going to be also doing a survey for everybody in the community. We're coming up on 600 members. We've got about 175 active monthly-ish. I want to keep, I want to keep pushing more better in the community. So if you guys have any ideas for what we can do, let me know. I'm trying to consistently get more partners. Like Lodestar came in. We're going to be doing something with Mace to really expose the great stuff he's doing. I've offered it to other partners as well to have them showcase what they're doing to make sure everybody knows what's going on without feeling like you're being sold to. So if you guys have any feedback, any technology out there that you're witnessing that you think I should get my hands on to check out, let me know. We had somebody recently ask about PPE and how Poly's doing. They're a TPO client, so of course Poly's not an official partner within TPOs. It's a little bit different. EPPS and OB are the only ones for that. So please keep the feedback in the community. Like I said, I'm sure you got a million things going on, but all your feedback and your support for your community members is always appreciated. And I always appreciate you guys coming to these events. So I'll keep doing them as long as you want them. So final thoughts. Again, 30 minutes is our mark, so we're coming up on it. Last questions. Kat, thank you. I hope you're doing great in your place. I can't wait to see you do some more stuff, and let me know how you're doing. And we'll keep these going. Awesome, gang. And by the way, if anybody last thing, if anybody ever wants to like showcase your problem, just give me a heads up. Again, these are all about you. So if you want to show something, you want to do screenshots because you don't want to do a live screen share with your platform, whatever. We can focus problem of the day can be you, and crowdsource some feedback. So that's our 30 minutes. Gang, we'll see you next time. Tuesdays, 4 p.m. Eastern. Thursdays, 1 p.m. Eastern. Rock on. Aloha. We'll catch you. See you guys. Bye. Oh, thanks, Jolene. I didn't know you were there. See you.